Hey ambitious souls. Meet Dominic Thorne, the billionaire alpha who dominates the boardroom and the supernatural world. They say he can smell fear from across a mahogany conference table. Today, he's about to meet the one woman who doesn't fear him at all. Chapter 1. Dominic Thorne didn't tolerate weakness. Not in his portfolio, not in his pack, and certainly not in the glass-walled boardroom of Thorne Industries, where 20 executives sat frozen under his silver-eyed stare. Gentlemen, he said, his voice deceptively soft, you've had 6 months to close the Meridian deal. Instead, you've hemorrhaged $40 million and made us look incompetent. His wolf stirred beneath his skin, drawn by the acrid scent of their anxiety. Give me one reason not to replace all of you. The silence stretched. His heightened senses picked up elevated heartbeats, the rustle of nervous hands against wool suits. Good. Fear kept them sharp. His assistant Marcus, one of his pack's betas, knocked once before entering. Sir, your 10 o'clock is here. Dominic's jaw tightened. He'd forgotten about the interview. His CFO had retired last month, and the headhunter had promised the best financial strategist in North America. He'd agreed to meet this candidate purely as a formality before promoting internally. Send them in. The woman who entered his office didn't walk. She commanded space. 5'9" in sharp heels, charcoal suit tailored to perfection. Auburn hair pulled into a severe knot that somehow made her more striking. Portfolio case in one hand, the other extended for a handshake that was neither timid nor aggressive. Mr. Thorne, Elena Castellano, thank you for your time. Her scent hit him like a freight train, jasmine and something crisp, intelligent, utterly intoxicating. His wolf lunged forward with sudden, primal recognition. Mate. No. Impossible. Dominic's hand closed around hers, and electricity raced up his arm. Her pupils dilated fractionally. She felt it too. But her expression remained professional, unreadable. Only her pulse, thundering against his supernatural hearing, betrayed her. Ms. Castellano. He released her hand before his control slipped further. Your resume is impressive. Stanford MBA. Turned around 3 Fortune 500 companies. Currently CFO at Brightwater Tech. He circled his desk, putting furniture between them. Why leave a sure thing for Thorne Industries? Because Brightwater plays it safe. She sat without being invited, crossing her legs with the confidence of someone who knew her worth. They're satisfied with 7% growth. You're not satisfied unless you're reshaping entire markets. I didn't get into finance to manage. I got in to dominate. His wolf approved. Dominically dangerous. This woman would challenge him at every turn, and some primal part of him craved it. Dominance requires sacrifice, he said, watching her carefully. 80-hour weeks. Hostile takeovers. Enemies who play dirty. My last CFO developed an ulcer and quit. Your last CFO was weak. Elena opened her portfolio, sliding a bound presentation across his desk. Here's my 90-day plan for Thorne Industries. You're overextended in commercial real estate while underutilizing your tech acquisitions. I can reallocate resources, cut overhead by 18%, and position you to acquire Silverline Corp before they go public. Dominic flipped through her analysis. It was flawless, aggressive, exactly what he would have done, but she'd identified 3 opportunities even he'd missed. Silverline CEO is a personal friend, he said. He won't sell. Everyone sells at the right price. Elena leaned forward. And if money doesn't work, pressure does. Silverline has labor disputes brewing in their Seattle facility. Environmental violations in their supply chain. A well-timed leak to the right journalists, and their stock drops 30%. Then you make your offer, as a white knight saving a troubled company. Ruthless. Brilliant. And she'd just outlined corporate warfare like she was discussing the weather. His wolf growled softly. Mine. You're hired, Dominic heard himself say. Start Monday. Salary is $2 million base plus performance bonuses. Marcus will handle the paperwork. Elena's eyes widened fractionally, the first crack in her armor. Just like that. I don't waste time on decisions I've already made. He stood, signaling the end of the meeting. But understand this, Ms. Castellano. I demand absolute loyalty. My enemies are numerous and creative. If you work for me, you work for no one else. She rose, and that intoxicating scent washed over him again. Mr. Thorne, I don't share loyalties. When I commit, it's completely. Her gaze held his. But loyalty is earned, not demanded. I expect the same dedication from my employer that I give. The challenge hung in the air between them, professional, but edged with something darker, more primal. She was drawing a line, establishing that she wouldn't be dominated easily. Fair enough. Dominic extended his hand again, knowing he shouldn't touch her. Her palm slid against his, and this time the electric pull was even stronger. His wolf snarled, "Claim her. Mark her. Mine." Elena's breath caught. For one suspended moment, her professional mask slipped, and he saw raw attraction in those dark eyes. Then she pulled back, grabbed her portfolio, and headed for the door. "Ms. Castellano?" She paused, glancing over her shoulder. "Welcome to the Empire," he said softly. "Try not to let it consume you." Her smile was sharp as a blade. "Mr. Thorne, I don't get consumed. I do the consuming." The door clicked shut behind her, and Dominic braced both hands on his desk, breathing hard. His wolf was raging, demanding he chase her down, claim what was his. But Elena Castellano wasn't some submissive pack omega. She was human, powerful, and utterly unaware of the supernatural world. Taking her as his mate would mean revealing everything, risking both his empire and his pack. His phone buzzed. Marcus's text was blunt. "That woman is your mate." I could smell it from the hallway. This complicates everything. Dominic stared out at the Manhattan skyline, at the empire he'd built with ruthless determination. He'd always known his mate would appear eventually. He'd expected someone from the supernatural community, a strong she-wolf who understood pack politics and ancient traditions. He hadn't expected a human woman who could challenge him in the boardroom with the same intensity his wolf craved in a Luna. Monday morning was going to be very interesting. But first, he had a pack meeting to attend and a territorial dispute to settle. Because being a billionaire alpha meant walking between two worlds. And Elena Castellano had just made both of them infinitely more complicated. Chapter 2. Elena Castellano had made many bold career moves, but walking into Thorne Industries on Monday morning felt different. Dangerous. Like she'd just signed a contract written in invisible ink. The executive floor was all glass and steel, designed to showcase power. But what struck her wasn't the architecture. It was the people. Dominic's inner circle watched her with unusual intensity, their eyes tracking her movements like predators assessing prey. "Ms. Castellano." Marcus appeared at her elbow, his smile too sharp. "Mr. Thorne is in an emergency board meeting. I'll show you to your office." Her new workspace was stunning. Corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, furniture that cost more than most people's cars. A massive display showed real-time data from all Thorne Industries divisions. Tech, real estate, investments, international acquisitions. "Everything you need," Marcus said. "Access codes, security clearance, direct line to Mr. Thorne's private office." He paused at the door. "A word of advice. Dominic values results over protocol. Show him you can execute, and he'll give you free rein. Disappoint him." Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Well, you seem smart enough to avoid that." The door closed. Elena exhaled slowly, shaking off the strange encounter. She'd dealt with intense corporate cultures before. Thorne Industries just took it to another level. She dove into work, pulling up financial reports and market analyses. Within an hour, she'd identified the problem Dominic's previous CFO had missed. Someone was bleeding money from the real estate division through inflated contractor costs. Not enough to trigger audits, but over 18 months? Nearly $30 million. Internal theft or external fraud. Either way, it needed to be stopped. Elena was building her case file when her office door opened without knocking. Dominic Thorne entered like he owned not just the building, but the air itself. Today's suit was charcoal Tom Ford, perfectly tailored to emphasize broad shoulders and lean power. But what caught her attention were his eyes. That unusual silver color that seemed almost to glow in certain light. "Working already?" His voice held approval. "Most executives spend their first day arranging furniture. Most executives aren't trying to impress you." Elena gestured to her screen. "Your real estate division has a hemorrhage. Contractor payments don't match actual work completed. Someone's skimming." Dominic moved behind her desk, into her personal space, studying the data over her shoulder. His presence was overwhelming. Expensive cologne mixed with something wild and masculine that made her pulse race. "How much?" he asked quietly. $28 million over 18 months. I'll have names by tomorrow. Make it tonight." His hand came to rest on her chair back, his body heat radiating against her. I'm hosting a charity gala at my penthouse. Black tie. You'll attend as my CFO, and we'll discuss your findings privately afterward. It wasn't a request, but Elena had learned long ago not to be intimidated by powerful men. She turned her chair, forcing him to step back. Mr. Thorne, I don't mix business with social events. Send me the guest list, and I'll do a background check, but… Elena. Her name in his mouth felt intimate, possessive. This isn't optional. Half of New York's financial elite will be there. They need to see that Thorne Industries has a new CFO, someone formidable. Your presence sends a message. What message? His smile was predatory. That we're about to become much more dangerous. The gala that evening was a display of obscene wealth. Dominic's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of the Thorne Tower, with terraces overlooking the city. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, a string quartet playing Mozart, and 200 of Manhattan's most powerful people, all of whom seemed to defer to Dominic with unusual intensity. Elena wore a fitted emerald dress that turned heads, but maintained professional elegance. She barely arrived when Dominic appeared at her side, his hand finding the small of her back with possessive certainty. Stay close, he murmured. Sharks are circling. He wasn't wrong. Within minutes, she was introduced to CEOs, hedge fund managers, and venture capitalists, all of whom assessed her with calculating eyes. But there was something else in their gazes. Fear. Not of her, but of Dominic. Thorne, a man in his 50s, approached, silver-streaked hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Introduce me to your stunning companion. Elena Castellano, my new CFO. Elena, this is Richard Blackwood, CEO of Apex Capital. The name triggered recognition. Apex Capital had tried to orchestrate a hostile takeover of Thorne Industries 2 years ago. Dominic had crushed them so thoroughly that their stock still hadn't recovered. Castellano. Blackwood's interest sharpened. Any relation to Victor Castellano? Elena's spine stiffened. He was my father. Was. He died when I was 16. Heart attack. She kept her voice neutral, but the old wound still ached. My condolences. Blackwood's sympathy was performance. Victor was a brilliant investor. Pity about that scandal before he died. Something about embezzlement charges. The accusation hung in the air. Elena felt Dominic's hand press warningly against her back, but she didn't need protection. My father was innocent, she said coldly. The charges were fabricated by a competitor who wanted to destroy him. By the time the truth came out, the stress had already killed him. She met Blackwood's gaze. I learned early that in finance, perception matters more than truth. So I built a reputation that can't be questioned. Blackwood's smile turned sharp. How very pragmatic. Thorne, you've found yourself a protege. Let's hope she's more loyal than your last CFO. He walked away. Elena's hands were trembling with suppressed rage. Not just at Blackwood, but at the memories he'd dredged up. Her father's death had been ruled natural, but she'd always suspected the truth. His enemies had destroyed him deliberately, and it had killed him. Come with me, Dominic said quietly. He led her through the crowd to a private balcony, glass doors closing behind them. The night air was cool against her flushed skin. I'm sorry, he said. Blackwood is a vindictive bastard. I can handle corporate predators. Elena gripped the railing. My father taught me well, before they destroyed him. Is that why you're in finance? Revenge. She looked at him sharply. Is that what you think? I think you're driven by something deeper than ambition. Dominic moved closer, and that intoxicating presence enveloped her again. I recognize it because I'm the same way. We don't just want success, we need to prove something. His perceptiveness was unsettling. And what are you trying to prove, Mr. Thorne? That I can build an empire without losing myself in the process. His silver eyes caught the moonlight. That I can balance two worlds that constantly threaten to tear me apart. Two worlds. For a moment, something flickered in his expression. Something wild and inhuman. Then it was gone, replaced by the controlled billionaire mask. Business and personal, he said smoothly. They're often at odds. Elena didn't believe him. There was something else, something he was hiding. But before she could press further, his phone buzzed urgently. Dominic checked it, and his entire demeanor shifted. Tension coiling through his frame like a predator preparing to strike. I need to handle something. Marcus will take you home. What's wrong? Business emergency. He was already moving toward the door. Send me your findings on the real estate fraud tonight. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Then he was gone, leaving Elena alone on the balcony with a dozen unanswered questions and the lingering heat of his presence against her skin. Something was very wrong at Thorne Industries, and Dominic Thorne was hiding secrets that went far beyond boardroom politics. Elena pulled out her phone and started digging deeper into the company's history. If she was going to survive in Dominic's empire, she needed to understand exactly what kind of dangerous game she'd just entered. Chapter 3. Dominic Thorne had faced hostile takeovers, corporate espionage, and PAC challenges, but nothing prepared him for the disaster waiting in his private office at 2 a.m. 3 of his wolves stood in human form, their clothes torn and bloodied. Marcus supported Sarah, a young PAC member whose arm hung at an unnatural angle. "Report," Dominic growled, his wolf surging forward. "Rogues," Marcus said grimly. 6 of them, hunting in our territory. They attacked Sarah on her patrol route. We drove them off, but they'll be back. Dominic's vision bled silver as his wolf demanded blood. Rogue wolves, shifters without PAC allegiance, were dangerous and unpredictable. Them hunting in Manhattan meant someone had sent them deliberately. Who leads them? We didn't recognize the scent. Marcus helped Sarah into a chair. But they knew about us. They were specifically targeting Thorne wolves. A message. A challenge. Someone wanted to destabilize his PAC. And given the timing, probably his business empire too. "Double patrols," Dominic ordered. "No one travels alone. Sarah, get to Dr. Reeves immediately." His PAC's doctor was human, but trusted with their secret. "And find out everything about those rogues. I want to know who hired them by tomorrow night." His wolves left. Dominic paced his office, fury and frustration warring with responsibility. He'd built his empire carefully, keeping his supernatural nature hidden from the human business world. But the two worlds were colliding, and Elena Castellano's arrival had accelerated everything. His mate, the woman his wolf had chosen. Human, brilliant, and completely unaware of the danger she'd just walked into. His computer pinged. Elena's email, real estate fraud analysis, urgent. Dominic opened it and felt his blood chill. She'd traced the embezzlement to a contractor named Victor Chun, whose company had ties to Richard Blackwood's Apex Capital. Not coincidence. Blackwood was hitting him on multiple fronts, stealing money, sending rogues, and now he deliberately provoked Elena at the gala. The bastard was building a coordinated attack. Dominic's phone rang. "Elena, it's 3 a.m, he answered. "You should be sleeping," says the man whose office lights are visible from my apartment. Her voice was sharp with adrenaline. "I couldn't sleep, so I kept digging. Dominic, this goes deeper than I thought. Blackwood's been systematically targeting Thorne Industries for 2 years. The contractor fraud is just one piece. He's got moles in your tech division, he's spreading rumors to your investors, and..." She paused. "Where are you right now?" "My office." "Stay there. I'm coming up." "Elena, it's not." The line went dead. Dominic cursed. His wolf was excited at the prospect of seeing her, but his human side knew it was dangerous. The scent of blood still lingered in his office. PAC business and human business were about to collide. He had 15 minutes to clean up and regain control. Elena arrived wearing jeans and a fitted sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger, more vulnerable, and absolutely stunning. Dominic's wolf whined with need. "You live close?" he asked, forcing normalcy. 6 blocks. Thorne Tower has excellent views." She set her laptop on his desk, not noticing, or ignoring, his disheveled appearance and the faint scent of violence in the air. "Look at this." She pulled up a network analysis showing connections between Apex Capital and various Thorne Industries problems. Contractor fraud, tech espionage, even the recent departure of his previous CFO. "Blackwood's been orchestrating a slow-motion corporate assassination," Elena said. "Death by 1,000 cuts. He can't take you down in open combat, so he's bleeding you dry while positioning himself as the white knight who'll save your company." "Why?" Dominic studied the data, impressed despite himself. She'd uncovered in 3 days what his security team had missed for months. "Because you humiliated him 2 years ago. Men like Blackwood don't forget." Elena looked up, and her dark eyes were fierce. "But here's what I don't understand. Why haven't you hit back? You're ruthless in negotiations, dominant in every board meeting I've seen. Yet you've let Blackwood operate freely for 24 months. Why? Because he'd been managing PAC crises. Because rogue wolves had been testing his territory. because being alpha of the largest werewolf pack in North America meant constantly juggling supernatural politics with human business. I was waiting for the right moment, he said instead. Well, the moment is now. Elena straightened. Blackwood's planning a major move. I can feel it. He provoked me at the gala to test your reaction, to see how much you value your new CFO. He's measuring your weaknesses. And what did he learn? That you're protective, possessive. Her gaze held his. That maybe you value me more than you should for someone you've known 3 days. The air between them charged with electricity. Dominic could hear her racing heartbeat, smell the attraction she was trying to suppress. His wolf demanded he close the distance, claim her, mark her as his. Elena, he said carefully, working for me means making enemies. Blackwood won't stop at corporate warfare. He'll target you personally. Let him try. Her chin lifted. I didn't survive my father's destruction to be intimidated by men like Richard Blackwood. Her courage was intoxicating and terrifying, because she had no idea the real danger she faced. Blackwood wasn't just a corporate rival. He was human, yes, but he'd somehow learned about the supernatural world. The rogue wolves, the timing, it all pointed to someone with knowledge they shouldn't have. You should go home, Dominic said. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll strategize how to. A crash from the outer office. Shattering glass. Then Marcus's voice, sharp with warning. Dom, we've got company. Dominic moved instantly, putting himself between Elena and the door. Stay behind me. What's? The door burst open. A man entered, or something that had been a man. His eyes glowed amber, his features twisted with supernatural rage. A rogue wolf in partial shift, his humanity barely restraining the beast. Thorne, the rogue snarled. The alpha who thinks he can rule both worlds. You've gotten soft, hiding behind glass towers and human suits. Time to remember what you really are. The rogue lunged. Dominic caught him mid-attack, their supernatural strength colliding with a sound like thunder. They crashed into the wall, and Dominic felt his own wolf surging forward, demanding dominance. Behind him, Elena screamed. And in that moment, Dominic Thorne's carefully constructed double life shattered completely. Chapter 4. Elena Castellano had an economics degree from Stanford and a decade of corporate experience. Nothing in that background explained what she was seeing. Dominic Thorne, her billionaire boss, the man who'd hired her 3 days ago, was fighting a creature that shouldn't exist. The attacker's hands had elongated into claws, his face distorted into something between human and animal. And Dominic, his eyes had gone pure silver. His movements were impossibly fast, inhumanly strong. When he pinned the creature against the wall, she saw fangs flash in his snarl. You broke the treaty, Dominic growled, his voice layered with something primal and commanding. Coming here, exposing us, you've signed your death warrant. I'm already dead. The creature laughed, blood bubbling from its mouth. Blackwood promised us Manhattan territory if we took you down. He knows what you are, Thorne. He knows everything. And soon the whole city will too. Dominic's hand closed around the creature's throat. Who told him? Your own pack. The creature's eyes rolled back. Traitor, from within. Then it went limp. Dead or unconscious, Elena couldn't tell. She was backed against the windows, her entire worldview fracturing. Dominic released the body and turned to face her. His eyes were still that impossible silver, and when he approached, she saw the predatory grace in every movement. The same presence she'd felt from the first moment they met, now explained in terrifying context. Elena. His voice was careful, controlled. I need you to stay calm. Stay calm. Her laugh was hysterical. You just fought a monster, and your eyes, what the hell are you? I'm a werewolf. He said it simply, like admitting he was left-handed. Alpha of the Manhattan Pack. I've been both human and wolf since birth, and I've spent 15 years building a business empire while keeping my nature secret. He took a step closer. And you're my mate. The words landed like a physical blow. You're what? Mate. In the supernatural world, wolves have destined partners. People whose souls are bound to ours. The moment you walked into my office, my wolf knew. That connection you felt? It's real. It's biological. It's permanent. Elena's knees gave out. She slid down the window, sitting hard on the floor. Her mind was racing, trying to process impossible information. Werewolves were real. Her boss was one. And apparently, some supernatural force had decided they belonged together. This is insane, she whispered. I know. Dominic crouched in front of her, keeping his distance. I wasn't supposed to tell you. We have strict laws about exposing our world to humans. But that rogue forced my hand, and now you're in danger. Because of what I saw. Because of what you are to me. His silver eyes held hers. Blackwood somehow discovered the supernatural world exists. He's using that knowledge to attack me on multiple fronts, corporate sabotage, rogue wolves, and now targeting my mate. He knows that hurting you will destroy me. But I'm not. We barely know each other. The mate bond doesn't care about logic. Dominic's voice was raw. My wolf chose you. And whether you accept it or not, you're connected to me now. Which means every enemy I have just became your enemy too. Marcus appeared in the doorway, his phone pressed to his ear. Dom, we've got a problem. Someone leaked footage to a tabloid blog. Video of the rogue attacking. It's already going viral. They're calling it a costume malfunction and performance art. But questions are being asked. Contain it, Dominic ordered. Use every resource we have. By the blog, threaten lawsuits, I don't care. That footage cannot spread. Marcus nodded and disappeared. Dominic turned back to Elena, and she saw genuine fear in his eyes. Not for himself, but for her. I'm offering you a choice, he said quietly. Walk away right now. I'll arrange protection, give you a generous severance, and you can forget this ever happened. Or, he hesitated. Stay. Help me fight Blackwood, learn about my world, and maybe explore what this mate bond means. Elena's mind screamed at her to run. But her instincts, the same instincts that had guided her through a decade of ruthless corporate warfare, said something different. She thought about her father, destroyed by powerful men who'd hidden their crimes. She thought about Dominic's empire, built on secrets and dual identities. She thought about Richard Blackwood, orchestrating attacks because he couldn't stand being beaten. And she thought about the electric pull she'd felt from the moment she met Dominic Thorne, the connection that had felt like destiny. I need 24 hours, she said, to process this, to decide if I can handle all of this. Fair enough. Dominic stood, offering his hand. She took it, and even now, maybe especially now, the touch sent heat racing through her veins. But stay in my building tonight. I'll assign wolves to guard you. Until we know who the traitor in my pack is, you're not safe alone. Wolves? You mean actual werewolves? Yes. Elena laughed, the sound edged with hysteria. This morning I was worried about a difficult boss. Now I'm being guarded by werewolves from corporate-sponsored supernatural assassins. She met his eyes. My life has gotten really weird really fast. Welcome to my world. His smile was slight but genuine. For what it's worth, you're handling this better than most humans would. Give me time. I might still have a complete breakdown. But even as she said it, Elena knew she wouldn't walk away. Not from this challenge. Not from the mystery of Dominic Thorne's dual empire. And not from whatever this mate bond truly meant. She'd spent her entire career fighting for power in a world that tried to keep her down. Now she'd just discovered an entirely new world. One with different rules, greater dangers, and stakes that went far beyond quarterly earnings. If she was going to survive it, she needed to learn fast. And maybe, just maybe, she needed to accept that destiny had just dealt her the most dangerous hand of her life. Chapter 5. Elena's 24 hours to think lasted exactly 6. By dawn, she was back in Dominic's penthouse, watching werewolves move through their morning routines with an anthropologist's fascination. Marcus made coffee with unnecessary strength, crushing the filter basket. A woman named Sarah, her arm in a sling but healing impossibly fast, discussed patrol routes with 2 massive men who called Dominic Alpha, with reverence bordering on worship. And through it all, Dominic orchestrated both pack business and corporate strategy, like a conductor managing 2 orchestras simultaneously. You came back, he said when he found her on the terrace. I'm not walking away from the Blackwood problem. Elena sipped her coffee. And I'm definitely not running, because the world turned out to be weirder than I thought. She turned to face him. But I need ground rules. Such as, first, I'm your CFO, not your supernatural mate property. In the boardroom, I challenge you when you're wrong. I expect the same respect you'd give any executive. Agreed. Second, teach me about your world. If I'm a target, I need to understand pack politics, werewolf hierarchy, all of it. No more secrets. Dominic's jaw tightened. Some secrets exist for good reasons. And some secrets get people killed. My father died because he didn't see his enemies coming. I won't make that mistake. She held his gaze. Full transparency, Dominic, or I'm out. For a long moment, he was silent. Then, fine. But it goes both ways. You're human, which makes you vulnerable. You follow pack protocols when it comes to safety. Deal. Third rule, he asked. Figure out this mate bond thing without pressure. You feel it, I feel it. But that doesn't mean I'm ready to. She gestured vaguely. Whatever werewolf courting involves. His smile was slow and devastating. Werewolf courting involves a lot of territorial posturing, scent marking, and intense protectiveness. But I can be patient. He moved closer, and that electric pull sparked between them. For the right woman. Elena's breath caught. Even knowing what he was, maybe especially because of it, Dominic Thorne was dangerously attractive. The power she'd sensed in him from day one now had context. Apex predator in an Italian suit. So, she said, forcing professionalism, where do we start? With the traitor in my pack. Dominic's expression hardened. Someone told Blackwood about the supernatural world. That knowledge gives him weapons we can't easily counter. We need to identify who's leaking information and stop them. Standard corporate espionage tactics apply. Who has motive? That's the problem. My pack is loyal. Most of them have been with me for years. But, he hesitated. There was a succession challenge 6 months ago. A wolf named Vincent wanted to be alpha. I defeated him in ritual combat, and he submitted. But submission doesn't always mean loyalty. Where's Vincent now? Handling West Coast operations. I sent him to Los Angeles to give us both space. Elena pulled out her tablet. When did Blackwood's attacks begin? March. About a month after Vincent left. Convenient timing. She made notes. We should also look at recently dismissed employees, disgruntled pack members, anyone with access to both your supernatural and business operations. Marcus appeared at the terrace doors. Dom, we've got the forensics on last night's rogue. He had a burner phone with one number, registered to a shell company owned by Apex Capital. Proof. Dominic's voice was ice. Blackwood's directly funding attacks on my pack. Which means we can hit him legally. Elena's mind raced through possibilities. Corporate espionage, conspiracy to commit assault, maybe even attempted murder depending on how we frame it. But, she frowned. How do we explain the supernatural element without exposing your world? We don't, Dominic said. We use human law for the corporate battle and pack justice for the supernatural threats. 2 fronts, 2 strategies. Coordinated warfare. Elena felt a thrill of adrenaline. This was the kind of complex, high-stakes challenge she'd been training for her entire career, just with added werewolves. Okay, I'll build the legal case against Blackwood's company. You handle the pack threats. We meet daily to synchronize strategy. There's one more complication. Dominic glanced at Marcus, who nodded and left. Tonight is the monthly pack gathering. Every wolf in my territory attends. It's how we maintain hierarchy and social bonds. I need to present you as my mate. We agreed no pressure on the mate thing. This isn't about romance, it's about protection. His voice was urgent. If my pack knows you're my mate, they'll defend you with their lives. It makes you untouchable. But if I don't claim you formally, he ran a hand through his hair. You're just a human who knows our secret. Some of the more traditional wolves might see you as a liability. Elena processed that. So I go from CFO to Luna, your pack's leader, in less than a week? You're already Luna, whether you accept the title or not. The bond decided that. Dominic moved to stand directly in front of her. I'm asking you to play the role publicly. You don't have to actually commit to anything personal. Just let my pack see that you belong at my side. It was manipulation wrapped in protection, and Elena knew it. But she also understood pack hierarchy now. Understood that in Dominic's world, showing weakness got you killed. Fine, she said. I'll play Luna for the night. But you owe me. Name your price. Complete access to your corporate network. Every division, every subsidiary, every offshore account. If I'm going to destroy Blackwood, I need to see the full picture. Dominic's eyes widened. That information could bring down my empire if misused. Then you better hope you can trust your mate. Elena held out her hand. Do we have a deal? For a heartbeat, he hesitated. Then his hand clasped hers, the touch igniting that now familiar electric charge. Deal, he said softly. Welcome to the pack, Luna. And despite herself, despite every logical reason to be terrified, Elena felt a surge of fierce satisfaction. She just gained access to one of New York's most powerful business empires and one of its most secret supernatural communities. Richard Blackwood had made a critical mistake. He'd assumed she was Dominic's weakness. He was about to learn she was Dominic's deadliest weapon. Chapter 6. The pack gathering took place in an abandoned warehouse in Red Hook, neutral territory far from human eyes. Elena arrived in Dominic's private car, wearing the outfit he'd provided: black leather pants, fitted burgundy top, and boots suitable for combat or dominance displays. "You look lethal," Dominic said, his eyes tracking over her with clear approval and hunger. "That's the idea." Elena checked her reflection. "If I'm doing this, I'm doing it right. How many wolves will be here?" "About 60 from my core pack, plus representatives from allied territories. Most are loyal. Some are testing boundaries. Including Vincent. He's flying in from LA, mandatory attendance." Dominic's jaw was tight. If he's the traitor, tonight might flush him out. They entered the warehouse. Inside, it had been transformed. Industrial space lit by strings of lights, a central platform for announcements, groups of people clustered in careful social arrangements. But what struck Elena was the energy. Dozens of apex predators in human form, their power practically vibrating in the air. Every eye turned to them. Alpha, a woman approached, older, with silver-streaked black hair and a commanding presence. "We weren't expecting you to bring a guest." Catherine. Dominic's hand found Elena's lower back, possessive and protective. "This is Elena Castellano, my mate." The silence was thunderous. Catherine's eyes widened. "Your mate? But she's human." "Yes." Dominic's voice carried alpha command that made several wolves drop their gazes. "The mate bond doesn't ask permission. Elena is my chosen partner, my Luna, and she will be treated with the respect that position commands." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Elena felt dozens of supernatural senses assessing her, predators deciding if she was threat or prey. Time to show them. "I understand this is unusual," Elena said, pitching her voice to Carrie. "I've known about your world for less than 48 hours. But I've spent 10 years learning to survive in rooms full of sharks who wanted to destroy me. Your alpha chose me for a reason, because I don't break easily." A young male wolf laughed, the sound challenging. "Humans break all the time." Elena turned her full attention on him. "What's your name?" "Derek." "Well, Derek, I closed a hostile takeover against 3 Fortune 500 CEOs who spent months trying to crush me. I rebuilt a company that everyone said was finished. And yesterday, I watched your alpha fight a rogue wolf and didn't run screaming." She smiled, sharp and cold. "So before you dismiss me as just human, remember that humans have dominated this planet through intelligence, strategy, and refusal to give up. Those are exactly the skills your pack needs right now." Silence. Then Catherine laughed, the sound genuine. "She has teeth. I approve." She turned to Dominic. "Though the elders will have questions. The elders can take it up with me." Dominic's eyes flashed silver. "Tonight is about unity. We have enemies attacking from multiple directions, corporate sabotage and rogue incursions. We need to identify the leak in our ranks and eliminate the threat." Marcus stepped forward. "We've analyzed last night's attack. The rogues knew our patrol patterns, our territory boundaries. That's insider information." A ripple of anger moved through the pack. Betrayal within wolf communities was the ultimate taboo. "Who?" someone called. "We're investigating," Dominic said. "But until the traitor is identified, everyone is suspect. Increased security, mandatory check-ins, and no one acts alone." His gaze swept the crowd. "I built this pack on loyalty and strength. Whoever's betraying us will face pack justice." The threat hung in the air. Elena felt the wolves responding to Dominic's dominance, some with submission, others with barely contained violence. This was his world, primal, hierarchical, one step from bloodshed at any moment. Then a voice from the back. Convenient that this mate appears just as chaos erupts. "Vincent." Elena recognized him from pack photos, tall, dark-haired, with the build of someone who spent serious time in combat training. His expression was polite, but his eyes held calculation. "Vincent." Dominic's voice cooled several degrees. "Good of you to join us. Wouldn't miss it." Vincent moved through the crowd with predatory ease. "Though I'm curious about the timing. You've resisted taking a mate for years. Claimed you were focused on building the empire. Now suddenly, a human woman appears and you're declaring her Luna. The mate bond doesn't follow convenient timelines, Dominic said. Or, Vincent's smile was sharp, you needed someone to shore up pack loyalty. Nothing unifies wolves like a Luna to protect. He turned his attention to Elena. No offense, Ms. Castellano, but you're a convenient solution to an alpha's political problem. Elena had dealt with corporate snakes who used flattery and misdirection. Vincent was more honest about his antagonism, and somehow more dangerous for it. You're right, she said, and felt Dominic tense beside her. My timing is suspicious. So let me be clear. I don't want to be Luna. I didn't ask for a supernatural mate bond or to get dragged into pack politics. But your alpha needs someone who understands corporate warfare, who can navigate both his worlds. I'm that person. She held Vincent's gaze. Whether you like it or not. Bold. Vincent circled her slowly, the movement predatory. But can you back it up? Because in our world, Luna isn't just a title. It's a position of power that must be earned. Vincent, Dominic's voice held warning. Stand down. I'm just asking questions, Alpha. Vincent's smile widened. After all, the pack deserves to know if their Luna can handle pressure. What if she faces a real threat? Will she run? Will she become a liability? He was testing boundaries, challenging Dominic's authority through Elena. And more than that, he was trying to make her afraid. Wrong move. You want to know if I'll run? Elena stepped forward, into Vincent's personal space. She had no supernatural strength, no enhanced senses. But she had a decade of staring down powerful men who thought they could intimidate her. I've faced boardrooms where one wrong word could destroy my career. I've negotiated with men who'd happily ruin me for profit. You're alphas. Enemies just tried to kill me with supernatural assassins, and I'm still here. She smiled coldly. So no, Vincent. I don't scare easily. Try harder. The warehouse went silent. Even Vincent seemed momentarily taken aback by her audacity. Then Dominic moved, his hand cupping the back of Elena's neck in a gesture of claim and protection. Vincent, you've made your point. My mate has proven herself. This conversation is over. It was alpha command, undeniable and absolute. Vincent's jaw tightened, but he bowed his head in submission. Of course, Alpha. But as he melted back into the crowd, Elena saw the calculation in his eyes. Vincent wasn't done testing her, or Dominic's leadership. The rest of the gathering proceeded with formal announcements and pack business. But Elena felt the undercurrents. Loyalty mixed with doubt, respect tinged with skepticism. She'd passed one test, but many more were coming. Later, in the car back to Manhattan, Dominic was silent until they hit the bridge. You challenged a dominant wolf in front of the entire pack, he said finally. Was I supposed to submit? Most humans would have. His smile was slight but proud. You continue to surprise me, Elena Castellano. Good, because I just realized something watching Vincent tonight. She turned to face him. He's not the traitor. How do you know? Because traitors hide. They defer. They avoid attention. Elena replayed the encounter in her mind. Vincent challenged you directly, publicly. That's not someone secretly betraying you. That's someone who thinks he should be alpha and wants everyone to know it. So if not Vincent, then who? Someone smarter. Someone who's playing a longer game. Elena pulled out her tablet. I need access to your pack's communication systems. Email, phones, everything. Tomorrow I'm going to find your traitor. Dominic studied her for a long moment. You're really committed to this. Your enemies made me a target. That was their first mistake. Her smile was fierce. I don't forgive people who try to kill me. And I definitely don't let them win. The car pulled up to Thorne Tower. Dominic walked her to her apartment. Pack guards discreetly stationed on her floor and paused at her door. Thank you, he said quietly. For tonight. For standing with me. We're partners now. Elena's heart raced as he moved closer, his presence overwhelming. In business and apparently in supernatural pack politics. Just partners. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. The mate bond flared between them, electric, intoxicating, impossible to deny. Elena could feel it pulling her toward him, whispering that this was right, that he was hers. I don't know yet, she admitted. But ask me again when we've taken down Blackwood and saved your empire. Dominic's smile was slow and full of promise. Deal. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, chaste but charged with restrained passion, and left. Elena sagged against her door, her entire body humming with unfulfilled need. She'd signed up for a CFO position. Instead, she'd gotten supernatural mates, werewolf politics, and corporate warfare on a scale she'd never imagined. And despite the danger, despite the chaos, despite every logical reason to be terrified, Elena had never felt more alive. Chapter 7. By Wednesday morning, Elena had identified the traitor. She sat in Dominic's office at 7 a.m., her tablet displaying communication logs, financial transfers, and security camera footage. Dominic stood behind his desk, Marcus and Catherine flanking him. All three looked grim as Elena walked them through the evidence. "Your traitor is James Reeves," she said. "Your PAC's doctor." Catherine's eyes widened. "That's impossible. James has been with us for 15 years. He delivered half our younger members, which made him perfect cover." Elena pulled up financial records. "He's been receiving payments from an offshore account linked to Blackwood for 8 months. Small transfers, untraceable unless you know what to look for. I found them because he got sloppy. Last month he used the money to pay off his daughter's college loans." Marcus cursed. "Why would James betray us?" "Because Blackwood discovered his secret." Elena displayed an old police report. 20 years ago, James was involved in a medical malpractice lawsuit. A patient died during surgery. It was ruled an accident, but there were questions. Blackwood dug up the evidence, threatened to resurface the case and destroy James's career unless he cooperated. "Blackmail," Dominic said, his voice deadly quiet. "Classic corporate tactic. Find someone's vulnerability, exploit it." Elena met his eyes. "James has been feeding Blackwood information about your PAC, territory patterns, security protocols, even personal information about PAC members. He's the reason the rogues knew where to strike." Silence filled the office. Then Dominic moved, his entire bearing shifting into apex predator mode. "Marcus, bring James here. Now." Discreetly. Marcus left immediately. Catherine looked shaken. "If James betrayed us, who else might have been compromised?" "No one," Elena said. "I checked. James was careful. All his contacts with Blackwood went through burner phones and encrypted emails. He didn't trust anyone else with the secret, probably because he knew what you'd do to traitors." "He was right to be afraid," Dominic said softly. 40 minutes later, James Reeves sat across from Dominic's desk, pale and sweating. The middle-aged doctor looked nothing like a threat, but appearances were deceiving. "I didn't have a choice," James said, his voice shaking. "Blackwood had evidence that could put me in prison, ruin my family. So you sold out your PAC." Dominic's eyes were pure silver, his wolf barely restrained. "You betrayed people who trusted you with their lives, their children. You gave our enemies weapons to use against us. I never thought he'd actually attack. I thought it was just corporate intelligence." "You thought wrong." Dominic's voice was ice. "Because of you, Sarah was injured. Because of you, rogues invaded our territory. Because of you, my mate is in danger." James's gaze flickered to Elena, and she saw genuine remorse. "I'm sorry. I never meant. Your intentions don't matter." Dominic stood, and power radiated from him. "PAC law is clear. Betrayal means death or exile. You're lucky I'm feeling merciful." "Dom," Catherine warned. "The PAC will demand justice. And they'll get it." Dominic pulled out a document. "James, you have 2 options. 1. Face PAC justice publicly. I guarantee you won't survive. 2. Sign this confession detailing everything you told Blackwood, testify against him in court, and accept permanent exile from all supernatural territories." James took the document with trembling hands. "Exile? I'll never see my family again. Your family can choose whether to follow you or remain with the PAC. But you," Dominic's voice was absolute. "You're finished here. Sign or die. Choose now." It took James 30 seconds to sign. Marcus escorted him out, and the office fell silent. "It's not enough," Catherine said quietly. "James was a tool. Blackwood is the real threat." "I know." Dominic turned to Elena. "We need to move against him now, before he realizes we've identified his source." Elena pulled up her strategic plan. "Here's how we destroy Richard Blackwood. Legally, financially, and completely. First, we use James's confession to file criminal charges. Corporate espionage, conspiracy, possibly RICO violations. That hits his reputation. Second," she displayed financial data. "Blackwood's been leveraging Apex Capital aggressively. He's overextended in commercial real estate, his tech investments are underperforming, and he's counting on a major deal closing next month to stay solvent." "Let me guess," Dominic said. "You want to kill that deal." "Better. I want to steal it." Elena's smile was sharp. The deal is acquiring Vanguard Systems, a military contractor worth $2 billion. Blackwood's been courting them for 6 months. But Vanguard's CEO is risk-averse. If he learns Blackwood is under criminal investigation, facing SEC scrutiny, and potentially connected to violent attacks. She shrugged. Suddenly Thorne Industries looks like a much safer partner. Catherine laughed. You want to take everything from him. I want to make sure he can never threaten you again. Elena met Dominic's gaze. Blackwood came after your pack because he thought you were vulnerable. Let's show him what happens when you back an alpha into a corner. Dominic's smile was predatory and proud. Do it. The next 72 hours were warfare on multiple fronts. Elena orchestrated a legal assault. Federal prosecutors received James's testimony and moved to indict Blackwood for corporate espionage. The SEC opened an investigation into Apex Capital's finances. Business journalists received carefully leaked information about Blackwood's criminal connections. Meanwhile, Dominic handled the supernatural threat. Marcus led teams to hunt down the remaining rogues, while pack allies and law enforcement used human channels to create additional pressure on Blackwood's organization. And Elena worked the corporate angle, personally courting Vanguard Systems with presentations that showcased Thorne Industries' stability versus Apex Capital's chaos. Friday evening, it all came together. Vanguard signed with us, Elena announced, entering Dominic's office with champagne. $2 billion deal, and Blackwood's financing just collapsed. Apex Capital's stock dropped 40% in after-hours trading. The rogues are neutralized, Dominic reported. My LA pack found them hiding in an abandoned factory. They're in custody, and they've confirmed Blackwood hired them. Marcus appeared at the door, grinning. And the best part, Blackwood's board just voted him out as CEO. He's finished. They'd done it. Complete victory on all fronts. Elena poured champagne, her hands shaking with adrenaline. We actually pulled it off. You pulled it off, Dominic corrected, accepting a glass. I've been fighting Blackwood for 2 years. You destroyed him in 1 week. We destroyed him. Together. She raised her glass. To partnerships. To mates. Dominic corrected softly, and the words sent heat racing through her. Catherine and Marcus tactfully disappeared. Alone in his office, with the Manhattan skyline glittering behind them, Elena felt the mate bond pulling stronger than ever. I need to tell you something, she said. When I first came here, I thought you were just another ruthless CEO. Someone to work for, maybe challenge occasionally, but ultimately just a boss. And now I know you're a werewolf alpha who runs an empire, protects a pack, and somehow manages to be both terrifying and... She hesitated. Attractive. Really, dangerously attractive. Dominic set down his glass and moved toward her with predatory grace. Elena Castellano, are you saying you're ready to explore this mate bond? Her heart raced. I'm saying that I spent a week fighting beside you, learning your world, and I'm not afraid anymore. Well, she amended, I'm terrified. But it's the good kind of terrified, like standing on the edge of something that could be extraordinary or disastrous, and choosing to jump anyway. His hands framed her face, silver eyes intense. I've waited my entire life for you. However long you need, whatever you need, I'm yours. What if I'm not good at being Luna? You already are. You just don't see it yet. He smiled. You challenged my pack, defended our territory, and took down our greatest enemy. That's exactly what a Luna does. Elena's breath caught as he leaned in, his lips brushing hers in a kiss that was gentle, claiming, and absolutely electric. The mate bond flared between them. Acceptance, recognition, home. And she knew with absolute certainty that this was right. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Elena laughed. So, I came here for a CFO position and ended up as Luna to a werewolf pack. That's definitely not in my job description. I'll have HR update it, Dominic said, his smile devastating. Elena Castellano, Chief Financial Officer, Luna, and the woman who brought me to my knees. I like the sound of that. Good. Because now that we've defeated Blackwood, his eyes gleamed with promise. I have other plans for us. Starting with properly courting my mate. Werewolf courting? Should I be worried? Absolutely. He kissed her again, deeper this time, full of passion and promise. But I think you can handle it. And as Elena surrendered to the kiss, to the bond, to the impossible reality of her new life, she knew one thing for certain. She'd come to New York to build a career. Instead, she'd found an empire, a pack, and a love that defied logic. And she wouldn't trade it for anything. Chapter 8. 3 months later. Elena Castellano Thorne stood at the window of their penthouse, watching the sunrise paint Manhattan gold. The hyphenated name still felt new, but right, a perfect balance of her independence and their partnership. Behind her, Dominic's arms wrapped around her waist, his chin resting on her shoulder. "You're up early, Luna." "Couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind." She leaned into his warmth. "The Vanguard merger finalizes today. We have a pack gathering tonight, and I'm still learning how to balance being CFO and Luna without losing myself." "You're doing better than you think." He pressed a kiss to her neck. "The pack adores you. The company's never been stronger. And you haven't killed Vincent yet, which shows remarkable restraint." Elena laughed. Vincent had grudgingly accepted her as Luna, though he still occasionally tested boundaries. But she'd learned to navigate pack politics the same way she'd mastered boardroom warfare, with intelligence, strategy, and refusal to back down. Her phone buzzed. Marcus's text. "Media's asking about the wedding. How do you want to handle?" "We need to make a statement," Elena said. "About us. About the company. People are curious why you suddenly got married." "Let them be curious." Dominic turned her to face him. "Or we could tell part of the truth. That I found someone who challenges me, compliments me, and makes both my worlds better." Very diplomatic, Alpha. "I learned from the best." His kiss was slow and thorough, full of promise. When they broke apart, his eyes were serious. "Any regrets?" Elena considered. 3 months ago, she'd been a corporate executive chasing success and running from her past. Now she was Luna to a werewolf pack, partner to a billionaire alpha, and living a life that defied every expectation. "Not one," she said honestly. "Though I do have a request." "Name it." "I want to establish a foundation, something that helps children who lost parents to corporate corruption, like I did. Use our resources to fight the kind of powerful men who think they're untouchable." Dominic's smile was fierce and proud. "Consider it done. We'll announce it at tonight's gathering. A joint project from Thorne Industries and the Manhattan Pack. Mixing both worlds. You taught me that's possible." He pulled her closer. "My father always said alphas can't afford human connections, that our nature demands isolation. But you've proven him wrong. You've made me stronger in both worlds." Elena felt the mate bond humming between them. Deeper now, richer, layered with trust and partnership. "I love you," she said, the words still new but utterly true. "I love you," Dominic replied. "My mate, my Luna, my equal in everything that matters." Later that morning, they walked into Thorne Industries together. The billionaire alpha and his human Luna, ruling an empire that spanned both the corporate and supernatural worlds. The boardroom was packed. Executives, department heads, and carefully concealed pack members holding key positions. Elena took her place at Dominic's right hand, not behind him, but beside him, and began the presentation. "Q4 results are exceptional," she announced. "Revenue up 43%, market share increased across all divisions, and the Vanguard acquisition positions us as a major defense contractor. Thorne Industries is now valued at $47 billion. Applause. Dominic took over, outlining expansion plans and new ventures. But what struck Elena was how seamlessly they worked together, finishing each other's thoughts, challenging and supporting in equal measure. This was partnership in its truest form. After the meeting, Catherine cornered them. "The pack's gathering at 8. But first," she handed Elena a leather-bound journal. "This is the Luna's journal. Every alpha's mate for the last 200 years has added to it. Wisdom, experiences, strategies for managing pack and personal life." Elena opened it reverently. Pages filled with handwritten notes, sketches, advice from women who'd walked this path before her. "Thank you. You've earned it." Catherine's expression softened. "I'll admit, I had doubts when Dominic first claimed you. A human Luna seemed impossible. But you've proven that strength isn't just about physical power. It's about intelligence, courage, and refusal to break. You're exactly what this pack needs." That evening's pack gathering was different from Elena's first. Now, wolves greeted her with genuine respect. Young pups asked questions about the human world. Elders sought her advice on navigating business challenges. She'd become what she never expected, a bridge between Dominic's two worlds. Vincent even approached, his expression grudgingly respectful. "You've done well, Luna. The pack is thriving under your joint leadership. Does that mean you're done testing me?" I'm done questioning whether you belong here, he amended. But I'll always push you to be better. That's my job as beta. Elena smiled. I wouldn't want it any other way. As the night wore on, Dominic pulled her onto the platform for announcements. Tonight, we celebrate not just as a pack, but as a family. Our Luna and I are establishing the Castellano Thorne Foundation, dedicated to helping young people who've lost parents to corporate corruption. We're using our resources to fight injustice and create opportunities. Cheers erupted. Elena saw pride and approval in faces that had once been skeptical. This foundation represents what we're building, Dominic continued. A pack that doesn't hide from the human world but engages with it. A business empire that protects supernatural communities. And a partnership that proves strength comes in many forms. He turned to Elena, taking her hand. 3 months ago, the mate bond chose for me. But every day since, I've chosen you again, because you make me better, challenge me constantly, and rule beside me as a true equal. Luna Elena, you are my greatest achievement. Elena's throat tightened with emotion. And you, Alpha Dominic, taught me that power isn't about dominance. It's about protecting what matters. You gave me a family, a purpose, and a love I never thought possible. They kissed to wild applause, and the pack erupted in celebration. Later, alone on their penthouse terrace, Elena reflected on the impossible journey from CFO candidate to Luna of the Manhattan Pack. What are you thinking? Dominic asked, joining her under the stars. That I came to New York hunting success, and instead found everything I didn't know I needed. She turned to face him. An alpha who challenges and protects me. A pack that accepts my humanity as strength. And a partnership that defies every conventional rule. We've always been better than conventional. His smile was warm, genuine. What's next for us, Luna? Elena considered. They'd defeated their enemies, merged their worlds, and built something unprecedented. But the future stretched ahead, full of possibilities. Next, we keep building. Expand the empire, strengthen the pack, and maybe, she hesitated, start thinking about pups of our own. Dominic's eyes flared silver with intense joy. You want children? Eventually. When we're ready. She laughed at his expression. Don't look so shocked. Did you think I'd be Luna without eventually wanting to continue the bloodline? I hoped, but I didn't want to assume. He pulled her close, his embrace protective and possessive. Elena, you continue to surprise me in the best ways. Good, because I've learned from watching you. The best leaders never stop evolving. She kissed him softly. So here's to our empire of 2 worlds. May we rule it well, love fiercely, and never forget that strength comes from partnership. To us, Dominic agreed. The billionaire Alpha and his fearless Luna. Together, we're unstoppable. And as they stood together overlooking the city, their empire, their combined worlds, Elena knew with absolute certainty that she'd found exactly where she belonged. Not in boardrooms or pack gatherings, not in corporate towers or supernatural territories, but here, beside the Alpha who saw her as an equal, in a partnership that defied boundaries, building a legacy that would last generations. She'd come seeking a job and found a destiny, and she wouldn't change a single moment of the impossible, extraordinary journey. 1 year later, the Crawford estate in the Hamptons had never hosted a werewolf pack gathering before. But then again, most charity galas didn't benefit supernatural communities while rubbing shoulders with Manhattan's elite. Elena Castellano Thorne adjusted her crimson gown, custom designed with hidden flexibility for the pregnant Luna who was 7 months along, and surveyed the grand ballroom with satisfaction. 200 guests mingled beneath crystal chandeliers. CEOs and pack alphas, venture capitalists and werewolf elders, all united under the banner of the Castellano Thorne Foundation. You're glowing, Dominic murmured, his hand finding the small of her back with familiar possessiveness. Tonight's tuxedo was midnight blue Tom Ford, perfectly tailored to emphasize the powerful frame of the Alpha who'd built an empire spanning 2 worlds. I'm 7 months pregnant with twins, Elena replied dryly. I'm sweating, not glowing. His laugh was low and intimate. To me, you've never been more beautiful. The truth hummed through their mate bond. Deeper now, richer after a year of partnership. Elena felt his wolf's contentment, his pride in their growing family, his fierce protectiveness intensified by her condition. The governor just arrived, Marcus reported, appearing at Dominic's elbow. The beta had been promoted to COO of Thorne Industries 6 months ago, seamlessly managing both corporate and pack responsibilities. along with Alpha Morrison from the Boston Pack and 3 major investors who want to discuss the tech expansion. Politics and business, Elena sighed. Never stops, does it? You love it, Dominic countered, and he wasn't wrong. This gala was her creation, a perfect fusion of their 2 worlds. The foundation officially supported at-risk youth and entrepreneurship programs. But the supernatural community knew the truth. They were building infrastructure, safe houses, legal defense funds, medical networks, for werewolves and other shifters trying to navigate the human world. Revolutionary. Dangerous. Absolutely necessary. Luna Elena, a young woman, approached, her excitement barely contained. I wanted to thank you. The Foundation's scholarship program. I just got accepted to Columbia Law. I'm going to be the first werewolf lawyer in my family. Elena's heart swelled. Congratulations, Maya. Make us proud. As Maya left, beaming, Catherine appeared with champagne, sparkling cider for Elena. The Boston Pack is impressed. Alpha Morrison wants to establish a similar foundation in Massachusetts. He's asking if you'd consult. Tell him yes, but after the twins are born, Elena said. I'm not traveling in my 3rd trimester. Smart. Catherine's eyes twinkled. Though I never thought I'd see the day when our Luna voluntarily slowed down. Pregnancy doesn't mean weakness, Elena countered. It means strategic timing. She'd learned that lesson the hard way. 3 months ago, she'd tried to maintain her usual 80-hour work week and nearly collapsed during a board meeting. Dominic had been terrified, his alpha instincts going into overdrive. They'd fought spectacular, passionate arguments about independence versus safety, until Elena realized something crucial. Accepting help wasn't surrender. It was wisdom. Now she worked from home 3 days a week, delegated ruthlessly, and let Dominic's protective instincts express themselves in manageable ways. Like tonight, where pack guards discreetly monitored every entrance, and Marcus had vetted every guest for potential threats. Speech time, Dominic said, offering his arm. They took the stage together, always together now, in everything that mattered. The room quieted, hundreds of eyes turning toward the Alpha and his Luna. Thank you all for coming, Elena began, her voice carrying with practiced authority. A year ago, the Castellano Thorne Foundation was just an idea, using wealth and influence to fight injustice and create opportunity. Tonight, I'm proud to announce we've exceeded every goal. She pulled up the presentation, statistics, success stories, expansion plans. The foundation had provided scholarships to 40 students, legal defense for 12 families, and seed funding for 23 small businesses. But more than that, they'd created networks connecting supernatural communities with human resources. None of this would be possible without partnership, Elena continued. My husband taught me that strength isn't just about dominance. It's about lifting others up. Together, we're building something that transcends boundaries. Dominic took over, his presence commanding. The foundation represents my pack's commitment to the future. We're not hiding in shadows anymore. We're engaging with the world, using our resources to create lasting change. And next year, his hand found Elena's, squeezing gently. We'll be teaching these lessons to the next generation. Applause erupted. Elena felt the twins' kick, strong, vigorous movements that made her gasp and smile simultaneously. Dominic's expression shifted instantly, concern and wonder mixing. They're fine, she assured him quietly. Just excited. Like their mother, he murmured, and the love in his voice made her heart ache. After the speech, they were swarmed. Investors wanted meetings. Pack alphas sought alliances. Politicians angled for photo opportunities. Elena navigated it all with practiced grace, but after 90 minutes, her feet were killing her and her back was screaming. Dominic noticed immediately. We're done for the night. Dom, there are still. Marcus can handle it. His alpha command brooked no argument. You need rest. Normally, Elena would have protested. Tonight, she was grateful. They slipped away to a private study, and she collapsed onto a leather sofa with a groan of relief. Twins, she muttered. We had to have twins. You wanted to be efficient, Dominic reminded her, kneeling to remove her heels with gentle hands. I believe your exact words were, if I'm going to be pregnant, we're doing this once. I'm an idiot. You're magnificent. He massaged her swollen feet, and Elena nearly wept with relief. Every day you amaze me. Building a foundation, running a company, managing pack politics, all while growing our children. Our children who apparently inherited your supernatural strength. Elena said as another vigorous kick landed. Dr. Reeves says they're developing faster than human babies. I might not make it to 9 months. Then we'll adapt. Dominic's hand moved to her belly, his touch reverent. Whatever you need, whenever you need it. The study door opened. Vincent entered, his expression urgent. Alpha, we have a situation. Dominic was on his feet instantly, his entire demeanor shifting to combat readiness. What kind? Not a threat, an opportunity. Alpha Takahashi from Tokyo just called. He wants to establish a formal alliance. Thorne Industries gets exclusive rights to expand into the Asian market, and his pack gains access to our foundation's resources. Elena's mind raced through implications. That's massive. Japan's market is worth billions, and connecting with Asian supernatural communities. It's also complicated, Dominic interrupted. Takahashi's pack is traditional. They may not accept a human Luna. Then they can learn to adapt, Elena said firmly. We're not hiding what we've built. If Takahashi wants an alliance, he accepts all of us, including the human Luna who runs half this empire. Vincent's smile was approving. I told him you'd say that. And, Dominic asked. He laughed. Said any alpha whose mate has that much fire is worth respecting. Vincent's expression turned serious. He wants to meet next month. Tokyo. Full pack delegation. Elena calculated timing. I'll be 8 months pregnant. Traveling will be impossible, Dominic said flatly. We'll postpone or I'll go alone. You'll do no such thing. Elena struggled to her feet, ignoring Dominic's attempt to help. This alliance needs both of us, the Alpha and his Luna, showing united strength. I can handle a plane ride. Elena. Dominic. She faced him, drawing on the authority she'd earned over the past year. I'm pregnant, not fragile. And our children deserve a world where supernatural communities are connected globally. This alliance makes that possible. They stared at each other, Alpha and Luna, husband and wife, 2 dominant personalities locked in loving conflict. Finally, Dominic exhaled. We bring Dr. Reeves. We stay at most 3 days. And if you show any signs of distress, we leave immediately. Deal. Vincent retreated tactfully. Alone again, Dominic pulled Elena into his arms, carefully, mindful of her belly. You're going to give me gray hair before these twins are born, he murmured against her hair. You're going to be a magnificent father, she countered. Protective but not controlling. Strong but gentle. Everything our children need. And their mother? His hand cupped her face. What will you teach them? Elena considered. That strength comes in many forms. That being human doesn't mean being weak. That the best leaders serve their people, challenge conventions, and never stop evolving. So basically, you'll teach them to be like you. I'll teach them to be better than both of us. She kissed him softly. A perfect blend of werewolf instinct and human strategy. The next generation of alphas who walk between worlds. Later that night, back in their penthouse, Elena stood at the window overlooking Manhattan. The city glittered below, their empire, built on impossible partnerships and defied expectations. Dominic joined her, his arms wrapping around her from behind, hands resting protectively over where their children grew. Regrets? He asked quietly. Elena laughed. You ask me that every few months. And every time, your answer teaches me something. She leaned into his strength, feeling the mate bond pulse between them. Love, trust, partnership forged through fire. No regrets, she said firmly. I came to New York chasing corporate success and running from my past. Instead, I found a werewolf alpha who challenged me, a pack that accepted me, and a love that defies logic. Our children will be born into 2 worlds, raised to understand both. And together, we're building something unprecedented, a legacy that proves different strengths can unite rather than divide. The billionaire alpha and his fearless Luna, Dominic murmured, ruling an empire of 2 worlds. Teaching others that change is possible, Elena added. That tradition and innovation can coexist. That love transcends boundaries. She felt the twins kick again, strong, insistent, ready to join this impossible adventure. They're going to be trouble, Dominic said, feeling the movement. Good. Elena's smile was fierce. The world needs more trouble from people who refuse to accept limitations. They stood together as the city lights sparkled below, 2 souls bound by fate and choice. The billionaire alpha who'd built an empire spanning corporate towers and supernatural territories. The human Luna who'd proven that strength came from intelligence, courage, and refusal to break. And soon, Two children who would inherit both worlds. Taught to walk between them with confidence, protected by the pack, groomed to lead with wisdom. The future stretched ahead, full of challenges and possibilities. Hostile takeovers and pack politics. Board meetings and territorial disputes. Late nights with crying twins and early mornings running an empire. But they would face it all together. Because Elena Castellano Thorne had learned the most important lesson of all. True power wasn't about dominance or control. It was about partnership, trust, and building something greater than yourself. And she and Dominic Thorne had built something extraordinary. A love that transcended species, an empire that bridged worlds, and a legacy that would endure for generations. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you," he replied. "My mate, my Luna, my everything." And in that moment, with their children growing strong and their empire thriving, Elena knew with absolute certainty. She was exactly where she belonged. The end.